That would be our new emote. Oh.
There it is. And we're live with that face. That was the
I wasn't ready.
Face.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, how's it going? We have a level 3 hype train going, which is amazing. It's awesome for our final episode of season 1, the Steel Sands arc. This is exciting. You got a joke for us, man?
Yeah, I looked for a fire elemental joke, but this is as close as I could get. How do you know an air elemental liked your joke?
He said it was a gas.
And it's 2 weeks in a row with an excellent guess.
But not right.
Not the right answer.
Right. They thunderclap.
They thunderclap.
It's the only elemental one I found. I'll look for another one.
Dang, I was close.
It was a good one.
Yep. All right. Did I turn on all the things? Let's see. I'm going to double check that real quick. I think everybody can hear us. I assume there'd be like a flood of chat messages that nobody can hear us by now. Yeah, good, cool.
It sounds good.
Excellent.
All
right, welcome everyone. We're the Bad Plans D&D crew. My name is Jay. I'm the Dungeon Master, and this is episode 27 of The Long Death, our homebrew D&D campaign. And this will be the final episode of season 1 as we wrap up our second arc, our adventures in the Steel Sands Desert.
Wait, what was our first arc? Was it the prologue?
No, our first arc was the Battle of Alara's Rest.
Don't you remember?
The death of Vin.
When I became a grove keeper?
That was the
Oh yeah, and Vin died.
There was that
With
guy
the
that died.
Some rando.
That guy that died.
Whatever happened to
somebody
him?
else got a cool shield and became some druid something. I don't know.
I remember that.
But yeah, but the key storyline of the arc was,
Vin dying. Yeah.
And the emotional turmoil that took on the whole group as they
we're-
reset the course of their lives.
Honestly, I think we're used to you being a robot. I think we like robot Vin.
It's pretty normal now.
It is.
It's
been
gone
too
through
long.
a lot of changes. He's slowly gotten a bit more, it's a little crazy. But
Yeah.
We all go a little crazy eventually, right?
we do.
Especially after you die, yeah. That's what I hear.
Oh man.
Let's see. Anything you guys want to shout out tonight? Any projects you got going on? Anything like that before we dive in? How's the new podcast going?
It launched today. I posted
Okay.
6 episodes. So if you
Whoa.
want to just scroll through, we had been recording every week, but we just hadn't launched it.
Okay.
So if you want to just scroll through and if anything catches your eye for any of the games that we play, Jeff and I have a lot of fun on Saturdays, and then we just literally talk about it and put that in podcast form. So
This is the difference
Start
between
Button Radio.
you guys and Jamie and I take like a month and a half to make one video, and then I'm editing it till like 4 a.m. the night before it launches. And then Lynette's like, I release 6 at the same time. It's amazing.
That will hopefully be the
Oh
only
my
time
gosh.
that happens.
Of that.
Yeah. Now, hopefully it's
it
just
will
one
be
at
the
a time.
only time, because last night I was like, I can't work anymore. I'm never doing this again. This is what the procrastination gets you. Oh, I said I was going to launch it on Wednesday. Let me do it all right now.
There you go. Why you got to go public?
Yeah.
The public will hold you to it.
Yeah,
No, that's awesome.
exactly.
Deadlines.
All right. Go ahead, Vin.
No, I was gonna say I have no things. So
No things.
yeah, no things.
Okay, well, let's get into it. It's been nearly a month since you first stepped foot in the Steel Sands Desert. When you first arrived here from Stillgate, you had little idea of what to expect, other than that a madman known as the Tinker had been bringing machines to life using souls, and that he had to be stopped. When you first arrived, you met Saban, and were introduced to the Bali, the native people of the desert. You experienced their delicious cooking, their charming music, and welcoming hearts. They're good people. You traveled through the deep dunes where you came face to face with a tribe of centaurs who would later become staunch allies. You discovered an ancient Thulesh ruin and explored the inner sanctum of a temple that hadn't been disturbed in thousands of years. You found vast riches and powerful magical artifacts, but also let loose something potentially very dangerous into the world while you were at it. Oops. From there, you traveled to Catel's Oasis, a haven for the Bali and other wayward travelers who needed respite from the harsh desert. You befriended the leader, Cattell, a fierce tiefling warrior who led a company known as the Sidewinders, who protected the oasis from the Drywalkers, the undead who roamed the desert. You met Gabor, a Bali explorer, an expeditionist who first discovered the ancient ziggurat where Vinadil's machine-like body was first discovered. You were then invited to a meeting where you were introduced to Valk, the sly goblin lieutenant and head of operations for the Tinker. You fought countless battles, defending both yourselves as well as the denizens of the desert on many occasions, and eventually found yourself face to face with the dragon Llazenax. Son of the famous champion Llazenax the Wanderer, Llazenax was a hybrid with parents of both chromatic and metallic origin. You then traveled far across the desert and came face to face with the Tinker. His real name was Darkshear Grimshale, and it turned out he was an old enemy of Thorcum's father Orm. After a heated exchange, you battled to the death in the heart of the ziggurat. With the Tinker defeated, a shadowy rift opened up, and Jeshi had to call forth the power of Darkforge's hammer to try to close it. But instead of closing it, the rift opened even wider and threatened to suck Jeshi in to who knows where. When all seemed lost, at the last moment, a crash was heard from above as Llazenax the dragon burst through the ceiling, throwing Jeshi back and going head to head with the shadowy tentacles that were ripping out of this rift in reality itself. The power of the dragon was enough to battle it back, but as he was dragged into the shadowy void, there was nothing you could do but watch as your friend, the one who had enabled you to be here in the first place, was dragged to who knows where. You all stand now, just seconds after all this is concluded, sweat still dripping off of your foreheads, looking around. Thorcum seems distant. He's retreated back, and you notice that he's picked up a small leather book off of the workshop table of the Tinker. He seems to be flipping through it. The rift has mostly closed. It has sort of closed to about the size of a small fruit and is just sort of hovering in the air. You could see it partially rotating as wisps of shadow kind of emanate from it, though it seems like nothing close to what it was before in terms of the malice or the danger that you felt from it, though it is still there, hovering about 3 or 4 feet above the ground on the altar at the dead center of the ziggurat. What's the plan?
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that people wouldn't notice that after I hit it, it also opened farther.
Oh, I definitely saw that. I think we all saw that.
That was not what I planned, just for the record. In my mind, I saw like I was gonna like seal it up, sew it together. Problem solved.
As Jeshi's saying this, like Hins is kind of polar bear sliding across the table, but transforming back into druid form just to come closer.
The polar bear slide where its hands are back and it's just face first.
Yes, and then she just
But then I end up as a druid.
a couple splinters.
You were not a polar bear anymore, for the record, but we're gonna retcon this just so that can happen.
I haven't untransformed yet. I want this to be my untransform.
Beaten half to death by the robot who was just slamming you up against the wall, and you.
Yeah, but she transformed again.
I'm
But
on
she
a
You
table.
transformed back. I didn't
Yeah.
even remember that. You're right. After being beat to a bloody pulp by this machine who was desperately trying to break your concentration so that the fire elemental, who is still there by the way, Fire Bro,
Yes.
who's just kind of
My
hovering,
friend.
just literally just like hovering over the still burning corpse of Grimshale the Tinker.
Yay.
Yeah, you managed to. I mean, you got hit like 16 times, and you.
Yeah, so I
maintained-
imagine I'm still bloodied when I turn
Yeah.
back into Kins.
It ain't broke,
So-
you know.
Yeah.
Right back to the pull. So yeah, Kins. What is? Should we do something about this thing? What is it? Just just gonna be a bro.
Uh, the dragon is in there.
No,
But
I know,
now
but-
now it's like,
No,
No, I mean the
we
fire
need to
bro.
get
oh,
a
the
giant
fire, bro.
thing.
Sorry, I
Like,
thought you were
yeah.
wrong. This
We,
thing.
we could maybe stuff it in this like orb.
I mean,
I don't.
I don't even know how to describe what just happened.
Guys,
like, did the
because
dragon
Llazenax
just
is gone. Like he's in there.
he just flew through the hole?
Can we? Do we?
I-
What do we? Do we chase him? Do we go
I
after
don't know.
him?
Can we? Let's
I
go
mean,
look at it. Do you want to look at
you-
it, Belrissa?
I-
One of you
Yeah.
magic people
You
needs to
know
look at
magic.
it. I don't know what that is.
I run right up to it.
Don't let the robot touch it.
No, I'm looking around this table here for body parts that look anything like what Raikkonen told us to find.
Somebody
like
click that. I'm looking
Rick-
for body parts. They don't call him Murderbot for nothing.
Just a couple parts.
Well, and I also asked Kins, can you move the robot off the tinker? Like he might have something important on him. Just, you know.
So
I mean,
I'll-
move the
yeah, the
elemental.
fire
Yeah,
breath.
move the elemental off the. Yeah.
So I'll turn to this elemental and I'll be like, "Yay, good job!" Like I'm talking to a dog. Like, "Good job, buddy. Air 5. I don't want to touch you. Can you go stand in that corner over there?" And that's gonna be actually. I'm not gonna ask. I'm just gonna say, "Stand in that corner over there," but in a "you better go."
Yeah, it's
Basically,
slowly
Andre the
starts to-
Giant as a fire.
It only lasts a minute, if I recall. Does that sound right?
an hour.
Oh,
The
no, it's
hour-
an
yeah,
hour.
hours
Yeah,
for the-
all right, no, you're right. It's an hour. Yeah,
It's
okay.
just
So
out there.
just sort
He's
of
gonna
like,
hang out with us.
like
Stand in the corner.
there's this trail of flames, just like everything's just light. This thing is huge. Everything is on fire that this thing touches, and so it just sort of meanders into the corner
Yeah,
of the
have
room.
him stop moving.
Okay, yeah, out of the way, right there. That's perfect. Good job, buddy.
It rotates all awkwardly to try to get in the exact position and lights half the workshop on fire in the back corner. It's
Oh, God.
but as it moves to the other side of the room, the corpse of the tinker, which just smells wonderful.
Good.
It didn't exactly smell great in here before, considering the rampant death and macabre kind of just place. But yeah, he is a burned corpse, and and there's all sorts of debris, and like if you remember, the rift had like this huge mechanism surrounding it. It was a big glass, like sort of beaker looking thing, and all sorts of copper and weird stuff. And it is now all on the ground, basically on top of
Sorry
this.
about that.
Alright, I'm gonna go check out the rift.
Okay.
While she's
I'll go
doing
with
that, I'm checking for like hidden doors or exits, because I'm still trying to figure out in my head where Valk went. Like we were all in a one-way trip. We got here. He's gone. So like I'm looking for exits or doors or whatever while she
Alright.
checks out the rift. So
Both of you guys make an investigation check.
I thought we settled this. Belk is the Tinker.
It's settled. It's
16 for investigation.
16. All right, we'll start with Belrissa. So Belrissa, as you walk up to what was just seconds or probably minutes ago at this point, was essentially a tear in the fabric of reality, a dark swirling purple and black mass of which giant, shadowy tentacles were reaching through. It is now just this tiny little rotating orb just hovering in space. And as you approach it, there is something familiar to you. You can't help but it's like a memory that, like something you haven't thought about since you were a child, like something that just tugs at the back of your mind or the tip of your tongue. It's something. There's something about this that you recognize, but I don't know what it is.
I find a stick or something on the ground. I'm gonna poke it in there.
I poke the dimensional rift with a stick. Okay.
Yes, good strategy. That's what I would have done.
That
Is
a
that
s-
better than sewing the fabric of reality?
Exactly
Nope.
what Belrissa would do. As you do, it repels the stick. It repels you entirely. It's like when you push two magnets together and there's that awkward just sort of it just won't let you go anywhere towards it. And as you just get kind of curious, you know, and you're trying to poke it, and the stick is just, the harder you try, the more it is repelled.
Okay, so I put the stick down and I just try with my hand. I don't want to actually touch it, but I just want to see if it repels just my hand as I get close.
You are similarly repelled, though you are able to get it a little closer. And as you do, your hand, as well as your tattoo, begins to burn and sear.
Ouch, 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 ouch.
And it's like you're not being repelled necessarily like the stick was, but as soon as you get close, it begins to hurt like really, really bad.
Okay. Guys, the portal hurts. It burns. And
Step aside.
It
I'll take
burns
care
you.
of this.
Yeah, let's try someone who's differently. Yeah.
Let me get
what?
Dark Forge
Differently
out.
how?
I mean, just
Oh,
maybe
less
less-
We
evil
all
than
have
you.
different
Like-
talents.
less tattooed by.
Did you say less evil?
No, I didn't say
Dolores
less
is not
evil.
less
evil.
No, Jesse
Oh,
did.
okay, Jesse did. I said less tattooed
Not
by
in your heart, in
some
your
sort
actions.
of
It's
evil
fine.
guy. Yeah, not just in your actions.
We got it sorted. It's a feeling, right? This thing doesn't know that you're actually good. It thinks you're bad because you send out flaming skull, dangerous
They
things.
are
It's
pretty.
quite terrifying.
bad.
I died to them once, you may remember.
Yeah.
You were in the
So
way. Sorry.
exactly.
Collateral damage.
What let me take out Dark Forge and be like, so Belris, I don't know if you know this, Dark Forge can talk, but he's
To
withholding.
you or to everyone?
To me.
Like Ziggy can talk to Belrissa without us knowing, sort of thing.
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah, it's kind of.
But is
You know
it
what's
like-
interesting?
can
It's
you
kind of
really-
like Ziggy.
But is it all in your head, or is it like, can you really talk?
I usually hear things in my
mouth?
head. I don't really
So
know.
if you put Dark Forge to this thing, it'll tell you some things, maybe?
Well, I don't know. It's very withholding. It's kind of like Thorcum. It just does, he knows a lot of stuff, but he doesn't really say much. Hey. So, what is this thing? I just kind of like divining rod with it, like a metal detector.
I'm just staring at Jeshi, like incredulous, like what is this?
Finn, is he okay?
I'm searching for doors right now. Like I'm not here.
All right.
I'll glance at Belrissa and just silently shake.
Now
You know
now
how-
there's a talking hammer.
Do you know how Raikkonen like knew this hammer? It's not just because it's like a cool hammer. It's because it's like he literally knows about him. Like he's like a bro,
Like Fire Bro?
like a hammer bro.
Oh no. We have the series of
Hammer
the
Bro.
bros.
The bro
Yeah.
arc is coming up
Oh
next.
gosh.
Hammer Bro
Yep,
team.
yep.
Okay. All right.
So do you find anything?
Your hammer is similarly repelled, and in fact, it becomes extremely heavy. The closer you get to it, it's like you get this response from Dark Forge, almost like it doesn't want you to do what you're doing.
I think the haste just ran out.
Oh no.
Vin, did you make your investigation check?
I did. It's 20.
20. Okay, so you take your time, you move through the whole room, and you discover a number of things, none of which are a secret door. The room is, if you remember, on the kind of around the outside of the room, there was probably 5 or 6 of these little side chambers, but most
Chambers,
of them
yeah.
have been repurposed for storage of random parts and goods and things like that. Clearly this was the Tinker's kind of main working area, so there's rooms full of, just random stuff that he was using. There's rooms full of tools and things of that nature, but none of them are a secret door. In fact, the only exit that you can ascertain from this place is the way you came in, and there was, if you recall, sort of a hole in the ceiling. There's a much bigger hole in the ceiling now,
Much bigger hole.
dragon-sized approximately, but otherwise nothing obvious. You do find a few other nice things, though. first thing you find is an immovable rod, which is a magical
On the ground.
item.
Was it holding Jesse's leg with a chain?
It actually was, yeah. It was part of. So so the construction of this makeshift trap, essentially this shackle that was put on Jeshi, was basically the combination of like a typical shackle that had been melded with an immovable rod. So you're able to, after he broke out of that, what was left was just the rod. So you now have that as kind of its own magic item. So we'll throw that in Sparrow's Corner in Discord after the game. You also find a there it is. Vin, as you are going through the side rooms, that one of the things you find, which is particularly disturbing, is there's a room filled with weapons, and this is like the stuff that he was building onto these robots, right? If you remember, some of them had like drill arms, some of them had giant blades, spinning blades for heads, and just like real crazy stuff, right? So this is where all of those random blades and dangerous things are kept. Digging through the mess, one of the things you find is a +2 hand crossbow.
Whoa.
That's fancy.
I'll take it.
Fancy. I'm writing that one down.
No,
I'm rolling
finders
need.
keepers, right?
I roll need.
There is 2 more things, and I'll let you guys decide in which order you'd like to talk about them, because both of them are very interesting. One of them is the journal that Thorcum is looking through. Thorcum has been distant. Even since you first got here, you could tell whatever relationship Thorcum had with this man was deep. There was a lot of history there, and Thorcum has been very. You can tell that this has affected him a lot, and he seems to be kind of piecing through the journal. And at one point, he seems to close the back and put it down, and he's walked over now, and he's just kind of standing over the body of 13, which, if you recall, was on the Tinker's workbench. So 14, which is Thorcum's current Steel Defender, was just annihilated immediately in that fight and is just in pieces on the ground. But up on the table is 13, who resembles 14 pretty close, but is obviously a little bit bigger, seems to be made out of a different material, and you can just see some subtle differences. But Thorcum is currently kind of just standing over there, deep in thought. So there's a journal, and then there's 13 and the parts that Vinadil is interested in.
Thorcum did heal 14 at some point, but he's still got the pulp beaten out of him.
Yeah. He's just kind of standing against the wall, just like half.
I vote journal.
Apart.
I vote journal as well.
Okay, who
Let's
wants
take
to
it. I'll read the
we will get
journal
to the parts,
while
okay?
I'm starting the parts.
Well,
since you-
Time permitting. Time permitting.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'll listen to the journal talk.
All right, who's going to grab the journal?
I'll grab it because I'm looking for info about this portal thing. So
Get it.
So I'll look at it.
Okay.
All right. Before we draw, like, is Cattell in the room or is it just Ziggy? Real quick.
Ziggy's here.
Okay. Can we send Ziggy to find Cattell?
Can you send me? Look, you don't send me anywhere.
I'm
Murder guy.
asking Bill
Murder,
Missa.
bro. We're
I'm
going with
asking
bro
Bill
now. That's what we're
Missa.
doing, bro.
Ziggy-
Hey, Murder, you don't give me commands, okay? You know who does? You know her, right there.
I'm speaking to her.
You want to talk to me? You talk through her. All right? Do we
Literally what I'm
understand each
doing.
other? Huh?
Oh my goodness! All right.
Oh no.
No,
It's nice when somebody else is on the receiving end.
I want to see if, like, I'm still just.
Can you
like,
believe what he
Valk-
just said? That you said,
and-
what? You're gonna tell me to do something?
I'll talk to him.
Literally what she does. It's, but no, I was gonna see if like the centaurs Cattell could like be looking for Val or keeping their eye
Listen,
on people.
everything
so-
we just went through, he's just immediately like, "Hey, centaurs, that's right." You know?
He does like the centaur, so
It's just
Yeah.
it's important.
surprised
They
it
could
took
be
him that
looking-
long. If
looking for Valk. Looking for Valk.
yeah.
Matters of the
Looking
heart.
for Val. Okay.
Exactly.
Anyway, that's the only note.
Yeah. It's like, do you
While
know
we're in
where
here.
Valk is? Is she?
No, like go and see
she
if
out there?
Cattell can
Or I mean, Cattell.
yeah. He can find her. Just
So
send
you
him.
want to add? Sorry, I was too busy interrupting you to listen to what you were saying.
Do we want to send Cattell to find Valk?
Yeah, just like to let her know that we haven't found Valk. Everything's cool in here,
Oh.
but Valk has
Hold on.
disappeared.
Wait, hey,
If
Zig,
you can,
did
I
you,
mean,
did you
tell her
see,
the dragon
like,
is gone.
well,
you see
I mean,
a-
you can
a
hold off on the
goblin?
dragon, maybe.
Did I see what? Huh?
Did you see like a little green goblin dude?
No, I was
like,
too busy annihilating the forces of evil out there so you all could just burn things or whatever. You have any idea what I just went through for
It
you?
was impressive.
It really was.
You led that army.
It was. They wouldn't even be here if it wasn't. Listen, we gotta talk about this. Not right now. I understand. You know, we got some priorities, but you and I will get anyway. You want me to go? I'll go. I'll go.
Just
And he just kind of flies out. He flies through the hole in the ceiling and just flies off.
thank you.
All right. Search your libraries.
All right, looking through the journal.
Okay. It is written in Dwarvish,
Welp.
but
Darn
we'll
it.
say, for the sake of brevity, that Thorcum and Jeshi and
Oh,
the
that's right.
group of
We,
you
we
are-
have another dwarf. Like, Dad, God, none of us can read it. Like,
None of us can read it.
We'll say that between the group of you, you're capable of reading it, but just know that it is written in Dwarvish.
I read with my finger.
You spell it out loud. You're just like can't read in his head. Okay, so the first thing is that it is full of just crazy ramblings about this guy's goal, which is to resurrect his lost culture and his clan. He is completely obsessed with this idea that he's the only one who can bring the dwarves back and save what's left of dwarven culture. And the only way he can do that is to find out how to transfer their souls, the souls of his clan and his people, back into bodies that will contain them. The vast majority of the book is just these ramblings about how he's been trying this for years, decades. This has been going on a very long time. And he has carried this burden, as he sees it, with him ever since the fall of his clan. You keep reading through, and you can see you get to one point in the book, and Thorcum kind of looks over and he seems to get a little uncomfortable, though he keeps to himself. And you start to read about a dwarf named Orem, who you would remember is Thorcum's father. Orem was the first to discover a cure to the plague. And Grimshale, who at the time there were two clans of dwarves and they were traveling together. Orem was the leader of this expedition to go out and establish a new colony in a particular mountain range. And the Grimshale clan was with them. They were not exactly friends, but they weren't enemies. They were a bit competitive, particularly the artificers, and Orem was known as the best. He was ever since his youth, he had been kind of the smartest and the most creative and innovative artificer. And this guy who was the tinker was sort of his rival, and was always second to him. When Orem discovered the cure, he did not share it with anybody. And you can tell from reading this journal that was not a popular decision. Not with Grimshale, not with even the rest of Orem's clan. You know from Thorcum that he did share it with Thorcum, which is why he has the scars, because he did survive the plague. But for some reason that you don't know or understand, Thorcum's father did not share this cure with anyone else. And that caused a massive rift between the two clans, which led to ultimately the demise of both of them. And when it was all said and done, what was left of the cure was stolen by Grimshale, and that is how he cured himself, and he had the same scars that Thorcum had. He tried to recreate the cure and couldn't do it. Always second to Orym, even after his death. He knew that Thorcum, Orym's son, had survived, and decided in his obsession that he must have passed the secret down to his son. Why wouldn't he? So he started to follow Thorcum, started to retrace his steps. When, after the fall of the clans, where did he go? He was the only survivor, after all. Wasn't hard to follow. And he followed him until at one point he discovered the remains of 13 in the basement of an abandoned fort. Thorcum was nowhere around, but he found the remains of 13. And it was then that he came face to face for the first time with what he describes in his journal as a void rift. The journal starts to get a bit rambly at that point, but it talks about how this changed everything for him. He was given knowledge and access to powers that even Orym didn't have. He started to perform new experiments and try different things, and started to get obsessive and a bit crazy. You can just tell from the way it's written and the way it kind of devolves a bit in style. He starts to talk about how he can bring his clan back, and how it's not about saving the living anymore, it's about bringing back those who died. About now he has the capacity to do that. And shortly thereafter in the journal, talks about how he's approached by an organization. They have similar goals, and they can fund him. They can provide him anything he needs to achieve his goals. But he has to go south. He then travels to the desert, finds the ziggurat, and he's provided with everything he could ever need by Valk and his organization. As patrons, at first, they're very helpful. He's able to achieve things he never thought possible, and he starts to build an army, starts to build up these machines. Over time, the organization becomes a bit more a bit more impatient, and you can tell from the writings that he starts to get annoyed with them. He starts to get less grateful as they start to claim that what they need from him in order to build their vessel needs to happen sooner and faster, and that if he doesn't finish his work, that he's going to end up like the rest of them. He actually conspires in his journal to double-cross Valk in the organization as soon as he achieves his goals, because when he does, he'll have all the power he needs. There's a bit more ramblings after that about how Orym's son was spotted in the area, and he starts to get curious again. He's reached multiple dead ends in his journey to figure all of this out. He can't figure out why souls will not bind, they won't stay. Is it the material? Is it the method? There's something missing. He's missing something. Orym did it. Thorcum must know how to do it. He didn't understand the missing component. You look over at Thorcum, and he's, Thorcum is always a bit kind of keeps to himself, and doesn't exactly open up about stuff, but he's even more disturbed. You can tell that whatever he read in this, there was something that really bothered him, and he's just kind of on the other end of the room, just keeping to himself. That's what you find in the journal. If you have any questions or anything like that, let me know.
Does it say at all how he captured and encapsulated or used the Void Rift?
it talks about how he was able to combine his artificer expertise with information, kind of the combination of information from Valk and his organization, as well as he talks about the void itself speaking to him and providing him the answers.
That was my question, was so we get the feeling that he at least felt like he was talking to this void thing or something from the void.
Yeah, you definitely get the sense that there was a relationship of some kind between them.
I'm going to ask Thorkim and Jeshi to help, but like, if we could study, like, I'm trying to think, like, is there any way to tell if this contraption that we broke was more like a habitat more than it was like a prison? Right? Because at first I was like, oh, he's imprisoned this thing. But was it maybe more like a habitat that actually allowed the thing to come more fully into our world?
Yeah.
Or is there any way to tell? Like,
interesting. I would say make a investigation check, and somebody can, if you guys want to work together on that.
I definitely want to work on it.
You can do it with advantage. Thorkim obviously would be the ideal person to ask, but he's not interested in helping you.
Got a 27 with advantage, so
27.
I'm an investigative type.
Getting
man.
all these getting all these digits out of the way, man. That's great. Yeah. So after reading the journal, you go back over to this contraption and you kind of look at it with a different eye, and you take a look at it, Vin, and you're right. This was not a prison. This was a mechanism that allowed him to harness the power of this thing. And as best you can tell, it was built to allow this thing to come further into the world. That's probably all you would be able to ascertain, even with that roll.
I'm going to say that to the group. Like, I mean, I know we're all thinking it, like, where in the world did Llazenax go, and can we maybe get him back?
Mm-hmm.
It seems like if there's any hope of this portal opening, we would have to rebuild something like that tube that he had around it that almost would allow it to.
Do you think
back.
we can move the rift? Like, did he create this rift here and here it stays? Or, like, I look around the room for a glass beaker. Like a big enough to hold.
It's not hard to find one. There's
like,
a bunch.
Can we, like...
See if you can
we capture...
Like a spider? like you're trying to, like...
Yeah, just go... and I'd be
a,
like, all right, well, we're taking this rift with the...
Like a lightning bug?
Yes!
Like we're going to carry a little lightning bug around in a bottle? Okay,
I mean,
okay.
I'm going to try.
I can assist you with that, Belrissa. I'm curious. I don't want you to burn again, so...
Yeah, I do it real fast.
Let me help you with that.
Thanks.
The polar bear's like...
I'm a druid now. A bloodied up druid trying to help.
Similarly to the stick, Belrissa, when you get any inanimate object close to this thing, it just repels it. No luck.
We'd have to ask, what was his name? Gambor? Who were some of the first people that were here? We'd have to ask them if this was here when they saw the room, right? Because otherwise we don't know the answer to that, but we could know. I mean,
you would remember that Gabor would never have been this far into the sanctum.
He didn't go this far?
Yeah.
Okay.
There was basically like a main room, like a big antechamber when you
Does it need to be excavated, right?
Yeah, they had
right.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly, and they were kicked out and not allowed back in by the time they got in here. So
I mean, Raikkonen might know. He called this a place of power, similar to the tree.
He might
So it's
know.
had a power source here, whether it's this void or something else, we don't know. But I mean, we're in the center of the ziggurat, is what you said, Jay. Like, I mean, that it would make sense that if this was a place of power, that rift has something to do with it.
I'm gonna message Ziggy. Like, hey, you know those tentacles that took Llazenax away? Did that look like familiar at all to you? Like, maybe from where you're from, or any idea?
Does it smell like home?
Smell like him.
He says, does that look
I know you're not from like the nicest place.
He says, I'm not completely unfamiliar with things of that nature. You know, that particular tentacle I'm not familiar with. But if you're asking me if we're all from the same kind of place, that is there's a non-zero chance that that's the thing. You know what I mean?
Oh man.
Okay.
We don't hear any of that. That's just in
No, we
Dennis's
don't.
head.
I'm just laughing because I'm like, that's such a Jeff thing to say.
Is there a way to like go between worlds like that aside from this rift?
Are you asking?
I'm asking
We could
Ziggy.
kill Ziggy. Kill Ziggy.
Ziggy
Tell him I
report
heard
back.
that. I can hear that. I
When
can.
he goes to like the wrong
I've always
deadly
hated
place.
that guy.
No, can't hate the whole group, Ziggy.
I don't. I love you. You're
Oh,
everybody else just awful. Just you got to get rid of them as soon as possible. Listen,
no,
just
we need them.
anyway. What was your question or
Yeah,
whatever?
like if we wanted to go there,
You don't
is that
want to
like
go
is
there.
that a bad idea? Is it
Yeah.
possible?
Unless you want to die like a real horrible death. I can do that because I can come back and it's still fucking horrible. It's the worst. It's the worst thing. Pardon my language on this plane of existence or whatever. But tell me, it's a really, really bad experience. And you don't
What-
want anything to do with it.
What do you think the chances are that Llazenax is still alive?
There's a long pause, Belrissa. There's a 100% chance that he is alive.
Okay. Why are you so sure?
Because when you go to this place, you don't die. You might die. Just trust me, you don't want to go there. But it's different than that. It changes you, Me and you, with just trust me. You don't want anything to do with that place, all right?
Okay. All right.
Just pack up your bags and go home. Go the other direction, okay?
Guys, Ziggy says Llazenax might still be alive.
We should go in.
I mean, we can't go in. It's this big.
No, it's not letting anyone in. It repelled you,
We
burned
should try.
Clarissa.
We should try harder.
How much of that did you tell us, Marissa?
I'm gonna run full speed at it
Oh my gosh.
and just dive.
You're trying to dive into this orb that's hovering.
Yeah.
Picturing you flying through the air with Dark Forge up in the air, and as you come close to it, it's just like you're repelled forcefully.
Okay. Don't try that way.
Nah.
We're not getting in there. If we are gonna try to save Llazenax, like Raikkonen, we'd have to get him down here somehow. Someone who might understand this.
Yeah, we need to talk to Raikkonen.
I don't think this place holds any more knowledge for us. It scares me that the Tinker was able to communicate with something, or something was able to get a hold of him from that place. Like, I feel like we need to guard this ziggurat. That company that Valk was a part of, it still bugs me that Valk got away. Because they're going to come back. Like, what's going to stop them from coming back? We need the centaurs or
I
whoever
will
to, like...
stop them from coming back.
Ah.
Thank
Could
you.
tell.
You turn around and you see a familiar face walking through the double doors, dragging in her hand basically the upper torso of what was obviously at one point a machine that she was fighting.
I was going to say
She
Valk.
just throws it on the ground with a
the
clank.
centaur.
Just, you know.
Has anyone ever told you that you are a badass?
Yes. Many times.
I dream of somebody saying that to me once. Anyway, how did the battle go?
So Cattell, who's a rather tall for a tiefling, she's got brownish skin and she's got a super long elvish pole arm, and she's carrying that and walks into the room, just this imposing figure. She says, "It did not last as long as I hoped, but we were successful. We have lost many, though. Asaros and his tribe, they fought fiercely, but many are dead. There were so many machines, so many drywalkers, but all of a sudden, all of them, they just fall over. It was then I saw Llazenax in the sky. At one point, a large company of machines, in the middle of the fight, they turned around and they started rushing towards the ziggurat. We assumed towards you, but Llazenax did not allow this. He swooped down from the sky. Lightning erupted from his face. It was beautiful. It was fiercer than I have ever seen him. He unleashed light like never before. All of them destroyed. Amongst them, Janusz, the Tinker's lieutenant. In front of Llazenax, he was nothing. Fell like this. I was so proud. Moments later, everything just fell down. The drywalkers were still escaping, and Asaros and the centaurs, they took care of this. They're still outside now, burning as many of them as they can, but I saw Llazenax. He looked towards the temple. I knew something was wrong. He immediately took off, and with some... I just see him crash into the roof, and then moments later, this enormous pulse of energy. It was...
Yeah. Llazenax. The story isn't over.
Where is he?
He's in there.
She just seems really confused and kind of, but she's not really, like, everything that happens to this woman is like, she's just so used to not understanding the details. It's just like, you know.
He saved us. As dragons do.
Then he has lived up to his name.
Yes, he has. We, unfortunately, cannot follow him at this moment.
Nor
You
would
may
he
have
want
seen
to.
me attempt just a moment ago. Went poorly. We should help him someday. We gotta get him out of there. Doesn't sound like a good place.
At this point, Belrissa, you feel something rub up against your leg, and it's Ziggy, your demon cat. And you hear him say, As soon as he turned, all he kept saying was that the line of Naxio, that it was his purpose or something like that. I didn't know what he was gonna do. I would have told him not. Well, I mean, I suppose he suppose he saved you, but if I had known, I would have suggested that. And he just kind of trails off. Cattell kind of looks back up.
Do you have any idea what he's talking about? So line of Noxio is the dragon line lineage, right? I think we've heard Noxio that name before.
My grandfather, he told me stories about this when I was a little girl. The Noxio was the first of the dragons to create the soul steel. And Llazenax is his blood. But I don't know what this has to do with whatever that thing is.
I don't know, when you came in, did you go through a room with all these jars? Kind of greenish.
You mean the broken jars?
Oh, we broke them out.
There's a lot of glass on the floor, just broken things everywhere.
I exit to go look.
As you walk down the hall a little bit, the hallway was filled with these glowing canopic jars. They're all just fallen apart, just collapsed into piles of glass.
I use my divine sense. I go back into the room. And I take out Darkforge and set him on the table and kind of lean on him.
As you do, you notice something. The wind has started to pick up, and with the hole in the ceiling, there's a bit of a breeze kind of moving through the place. You getting this smell, this odor of burning Jeshi, which you recognize to be the distinct odor of burning corpses, as Asaros and the tribe of the Swift Sand Centaurs are outside, putting to flame as many of the undead as they can. As the wind whips through this area, you see flapping on Vinadil's back a small yellow note.
I reach for it.
Oh, Jesus.
More reading for me, thank you. Shall take it. What does it say? Is it in Dwarven?
It is not
I
in
can read
Dwarven.
Dwarven.
It is marked with the distinct insignia of Mortimer Gastmeyer.
We know.
Oh,
He's
it's
always here.
It's from the guy. Let me open it up here, Vin.
Just
this
sitting
is
on
for
my
you.
back for the last month.
It was in
Like-
your mailbox.
You've got mail.
Read in Mortimer's voice, the note reads, "Your victory sends ripples through the void. There isn't a lot of time for this to work, so if you could be quick about this, gather up whatever you need and form a circle of black ash. Recite this phrase, Inuk Tashal, Hiyuk Thotwala, and focus your mind on mine. Signed, Mortimer Gasmere."
What the heck?
Oh.
Just like,
I'm asking Jesse to like check my back. Is there like a place where these things are stored? Like, does he just have?
yeah, how'd they get there?
It's like a
You got-
printer or something.
You
Like,
don't
just,
feel when
like-
you get things stapled to
You're
your
like
back.
a fax
He
machine.
didn't. He didn't just do
Yeah,
it.
it just magically, like,
He
comes.
just- it's
I
like,
got kind of
it comes out
it's
of
like
your
a
back.
remote, like a remote printer out of my back. Yeah.
Yeah, kind
I
of a
like the
weird
fax
mole
machine
here.
idea.
You should get it checked out. Oh no, never mind. It's just ink. The Tinkerer, I don't know if you guys saw this. He threw like a pot of ink at us early. I don't know, exploded. It was crazy. But yeah, no, you're fine. There's nothing
There's
else there.
probably black ash all over this place, thanks
Yeah.
to Fire Bro.
Yeah, but did you find the stuff you need?
Yeah, we have all the things.
I'm gonna assume yes. I'm able to find most of the parts that I
On
needed,
the list?
like from the
Check it off,
13
check
body
it off.
parts.
Uh,
Is there anything special about those, or is that something that we can just like put in a bag? Like, because I figure we don't understand what it means, but
you walk over to the broken shell of 13. And this probably happened sometime during all of this discussion. what you're essentially looking at is not dissimilar from 14, which you've spent a lot of time around, including and your own body, actually, just servos and sort of joints and parts and all sorts of just mechanical things that would go into making a construct like this. But distinctly in the center of the chest is a distinct metallic orb. And as you approach it, it almost seems to respond to you as you get closer to it. It's about the size, it's not actually, it's maybe a little smaller than the orb that is hovering in midair, the void rift. And it actually doesn't look all that dissimilar. It's a little bit smaller, and it is clearly made of something metallic, as you can see the light reflecting off of it, but swirling inside of it, through the translucent material, you can see a black and purple kind of mass that is just swirling and writhing around. And it is just placed in the center of this thing, which is lying on the table.
I guess we'll take that. Did Raikkonen give us an idea of what other kind of parts he needed?
If you recall, you were after the core.
Well, he had part of it.
He had part of the core.
Okay.
And you were sent here to retrieve the core of 13.
I mean, let's take that thing then.
As you reach out to touch it, then runes flare up all over the surface, kind of all around it, and they seem to be sort of rotating concentrically around this orb. About half of them, though, are very dim. They're all various states of brightness. Some of them flare up super bright, while others not so much, and they sort of just rotate around as you reach out to grab it. You pick it up, and a few moments later, the runes seem to just fade out of sight. But you now have this thing. As you pick that up, there's a distinct kind of grunt and uncomfortable weight shift from Thorcum, who is still kind of not really engaging, but seems uncomfortable that you've taken that. But also, make an insight check, Vin, or anyone else who's paying attention.
I am.
19.
11.
15.
19. Okay, yeah. So as Thorcum reacts to Vinadil picking up this orb, there's a distinct look of shame in his face. He seems, whatever this thing is, seems to bring Thorcum a great deal of shame and discomfort in general. You can see it on his face. But he doesn't protest. It almost looks like he's going to, like in his typical, like, we're all gonna die if you touch that kind of way, but he doesn't, he can't muster the energy to do it. And he just sort of backs off and keeps to himself.
I'll give it a once over for any more things that look like they could be power stuff, like, and then we'll bag that. And then I do want to just take one look at the Tinker's body, like specifically looking for any kind of like bracer like Valk had.
Yeah, that metal arm thing.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's true.
Or whatever it was described as.
He does have a metallic arm. That looks to have been mostly crushed in the collapse of the ceiling. Any other non-metallic part of his body has been completely burned and destroyed.
Well, I mean, Cattell, and remind me, it's been a while here. Have we mentioned anything about Raikkonen to Cattell, or does she know? Okay. This might be a little sudden, Cattell, but apparently our benefactor, maybe partner, possibly,
Yeah, vague acquaintance.
Our wizard.
who pointed us this direction, has requested that we return to him and apparently given us a way to do such. Which means we're not going to be going back to the Oasis or traveling with you, but we might be leaving from this room. But we want to be back at some point. Whatever resources obviously you find in this place, we hope you can use them to strengthen the Bali. I mean, and I'm just gonna like look at her as just kind of just try to kind of make it serious as a, like I understand what I'm asking here, but like
She kind of
like
cuts you off, Vin, and
Yeah.
she gives you this look like, who do you think I am?
I
Like-
think you're leading a bunch of pacifists that are gonna have to form an army, or you're
But-
gonna have to make an alliance with the centaurs. Like this southern
Yeah,
city's coming back, right?
She,
so like,
she's not ungrateful, but she kind of gives you this look like, we can handle ourselves. And she, you know, she speaks up and she says, you know, the Tinker's forces are destroyed. Almost all of the undead in the entire desert are right here and are currently being put to the flame. The Bali will miss their treatment and their free everythings, but for the first time, and as long as I can remember, we are very safe. And I will endeavor to keep us that way.
Could tell. So now that you guys are going to be like part of the economy again, we should establish a trading route up to Portsmouth. You can come visit. I'll make the soup. You'll tell me how good it is compared to the ones you're used to. We will do entirely so much gold for glassweed you couldn't even possibly imagine. And we own, I don't know if you know this either, we own an inn and tavern. You can stay there whenever you want.
She
Yeah, they
smiles.
host a talent show
Big
too.
smile.
It's really cool.
The mood lightens
working on it.
tremendously after, and she just smiles. She is like a huge smile, and she says, I look forward to this very much. The Bali are good people. They would very much enjoy this thing you talk about.
Yes, it's on the ocean.
Awesome.
Crazy place.
For the first time in my lifetime, the desert can breathe again. She looks at each of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Cattell.
We did it.
She turns and walks away.
Man, she is so cool.
I know, she's so cool. Oh, Vin, I got you on the ash. I tried to gather as much as I could.
Oh, that's way too much.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
okay.
The fire elemental has
that
just
the
been
tinker?
in the corner burning everything for the last
like,
hour. There's plenty of ash.
Yeah, lucky for us, I guess, that it wasn't like, you know, ice or something that we needed. So
Oh, I got you on ice too, and I'm like, oh, that's another time.
Polar bear.
all right,
I'm
which
gonna
of you
take
wants
like
to
a little cog or some sort of thing that looks shiny that we can like put in on display in the inn.
A souvenir?
Yes, a
A
souvenir.
A battle souvenir? Cool.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of that kind of stuff. So you definitely,
Just some sort of cool mechanical looking thing.
yeah. There's
At
like
some
all kinds
point,
of gears and
I-
stuff like that.
I definitely had a moment of like robot envy, kind of like we said on the when we first came in. Of like they said there were 3 people in this room, and I'm looking at these other robots that are just these massive things that like beat people for. And I'm like looking at my like, how did I end up the tiniest of the robots? Whatever. But
I see Vin's glance, and I'm
none
like,
of
you
their
know,
parts are.
you can stay a robot if you want.
I mean, if they were replaceable parts, like looking at their arms to see if they might fit into my joints or something, but I don't think any of them
You
fit.
should
so
just do the feet so you're like in clown shoes all the time.
there you go. Just take out the legs. No, like let's build this circle. Who's gonna chant this thing? One of you magic types.
Yeah, I can
Not
chant
it.
All of us?
Yeah. On
I
3.
don't think that's
Okay.
on 3.
As you begin to chant or start the whole process, you hear a voice speak up from the other side of the room. It's Thorcum. He says, "My friends, This is where we have to part ways.
But why?
I've learned a lot about my father and my clan since we got here. There's a lot that he achieved and didn't achieve that has created more questions for me than I'm comfortable with. I believe it is my duty to stay here and study and understand. I'll keep an eye on things. I can help Cattell, but I need to know more about what Orem was doing, and I'm not going to find it out there.
Okay. So I walk up to him. I have the book still that the Tinkerer had. So I'll kind of open it a bit and look at it for a second and close it. I'll say, he lost his way. Make sure you don't lose yours. And I give it to him.
There's like 3 times in history since you've known Thorcum where he smiled a little bit. This is one of those times. He kind of cracks an awkward smile at you, Jeshi. He takes the book with his left hand, and his right hand comes up and he places it on your shoulder, and he says, your kin would be proud of you, son. Keep going.
I will. I start to turn. I turn back. Under my breath, I say, one more thing. You should find out if Cattell is single. And I agree. For Finn.
He says, he looks up at the lot of you and he says, I don't know how you've all survived this long, but I'm sure you'll continue to do so until we meet again. And he
Do
turns
my
and
best to
walks
keep
out.
him alive.
Says the dead guy.
Yeah.
All right.
I am officially the oldest dwarf in the party.
Also, the
I'm the leader of the gang.
only dwarf.
No.
It's true.
All right,
also.
so
Ready to chant?
do this thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. You draw the circle of ash. You create the sort of necessary setup for the ritual as described in this awkward note. And who's going to say the words?
I'm looking at Belrissa.
I'll say them. Wait, let me pull it up here. Hold on. Where'd they go? It's in Sparrow's Corner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Inuk to Shal Hiyuk Thathwala. And I focus.
All right. You aren't quite sure how, but you can feel Raikkonen reaching out to you as you say these words, Belrissa, grasping in an imperceptible darkness. With a little effort, you expand your senses and make the connection. Close your eyes, he seems to say to you. The slightly vexing tone of his voice in your head is unmistakable. Feels as if the floor has fallen out from beneath all of you. You begin to fall at great speed. But before your concern grows louder than a whisper, you're corporeal again, standing solidly on the ground. Party opens up its eyes upon a familiar, yet not so familiar sight. In the briefest of moments, Raikkonen seems to have transported you very far indeed. Before you stands a great and powerful tree that thrums magnificently with life. Every branch brims with broad green leaves that shine in the dappled sun. The grove all around you seems fresh and bold. The smells are smells of spring, earth, and greens and blossoms. Leaning in his peculiar style against the iron-hard bark of the banyan tree stands Raikkonen, though in the familiar garb of the wagon man you know him as Mortimer Gastmere. A slight smile, smirk just across his face as he looks at you. He registers your wonder. This seems simpler than passing notes, would you agree?
That was a pretty cool trick.
I'm looking around for my body. Like, if you were gonna pull us halfway across the world, why couldn't we have ended up in your house? We got the thing. But yeah.
We're gonna go ahead and take a 5-minute intermission, as you guys have been transported out of the desert for the first time in a long time. There's just this feeling of fresh air, and it doesn't smell like death and like wind and grime and corpses. It's like really hard, I imagine, to just the sudden assault of freshness. And Kins, of course, you in particular, as the grove keeper of Alara's grove here. The immediate thing you recognize is the life. It is no longer this poisoned area that is on the verge of everything dying and being corrupted.
It is so humid here.
It's humid.
She's hair goes.
Oh.
There's insects and just heat and but there's life. You can hear the animals, the birds. You can smell just the flowers, and it is something else. So we'll be back in about 5 minutes. Just a quick bio break for everybody. Stretch your legs, grab a drink of water. We'll see you in a few minutes, and we'll find out what's going to happen with Vinadil's body.
Oh, yeah.
Let's just stay in our happy place.
Uh-huh.
Wait, are we on Thunderstone?
And we have the bugs, too.
Not Portsmouth? We're on the island?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're standing in the grove.
We're underneath the tree.
We're going to get to talk to
Underneath the
Fake
giant
Fur and everyone.
banyan tree. All right, we're back. I think. Buttons.
Looks like we're back.
Pressing buttons. There we go.
Buttons.
See, it's the nice piano sounds. I
know.
very much enjoy this.
Nice.
Okay. There we go. Welcome back, everybody. All right, so you've just been transported across the continent to the small island of Thunderstone, aka Alara's Rest, depending on who you ask. But this is where our first arc took place, and you guys were able to save this whole area, this tree, from a group of evil hags. And first time being back in probably about 2 months, and the place looks a lot different. It was on the verge of ruin and just decay and corruption the last time you were here, as the corruptive forces of just evil really were turning everything real bad. But now it's on the upswing. There's a lot of new growth, and everything is clean. And Kins, you have this immediate feeling of like, oh, this is what it's supposed to look like, as you get here, and it just feels really nice. You feel the immediate warmth of Alara kind of enter you, and your shield begins to sort of just kind of hum, and this feels right. This feels good.
Whoa, Kins. You are super good at this.
Oh, this?
Yeah, grove keeping.
Yes,
This is
I am
amazing.
excellent at grove keeping. I've done so much for this place.
Unbelievable. It must be, was it in the book, or like, I don't know, how did you learn
There
to
was
do
lots
this?
in the book. It's a great book. It helped me out a lot. So we just stare into each other's eyes.
It is beautiful, isn't it? I expect it didn't look quite as alive when you were last here.
Nope.
Oh, hello,
No.
Mortimer.
Hello,
No.
kids.
There were hags.
The filth of those
I
hags
wonder what
was-
Trio's doing.
It was washed away, and new growth is here in its place. And from what I can tell, it seems you've done it again.
Yep. Took out the tinker. No problem.
There were
we
some
do.
problems. There were lots of problems. But we did it.
Yeah, a
Do you have
couple
like a
problems.
dragon-sized body that you could pop a dragon soul into? Actually, he's not dead.
He's
I
not
should,
dead.
we should be clear,
We
but
don't
he'll
know.
probably die.
No,
No,
he's...
no.
Ziggy
he
says
said
he
he was
can't
alive. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he also said something about like being corrupted. But no, that was just in your brain.
We have a
nothing
dragon
else.
friend now, so.
And he's in the void.
You apparently knew his mother.
Llazenax,
Yeah, something like that.
the Wanderer.
Champion of some.
Amazing name. As we get older, I would like you all to give me a name. Raikkonen, maybe you can give me a name. You seem like the name giving. You have to have a certain. You have it.
He just kind of smiles and nods. He says, Llazenax the Wanderer, champion of Parsenis.
There you go.
That's the one.
It's not a name I've heard in a long time, but I am not surprised to learn that you have met her son. I knew that you were going to need allies. And it seems like you were more successful than I even thought you might be. But did I have any doubt? No, I did not.
Where's Kira?
Kira. Firecracker, let me tell you. We went looking for some pirates. I had some business, she had some business. Her business was a bit more violent than mine, perhaps. But she's still down on the coast taking care of some of that business. But she said to tell you that when the time's right, she wants to bring you in on a little situation she's got going down there. But I told her that deal's a deal. And before y'all were going to want to gallivant across the world again onto some new adventure, that I need to live up to my side of the bargain. He looks at you, Vinadil, and he says, so, after all this time, would you prefer to stay in that body you have now? Or would you like to go back to where you came from?
I mean, even before we found out that I'm going to slowly drift into madness, I was pretty fond of my old body. But that kind of pushed me over the edge.
He says,
And, yeah.
he says, did you retrieve what you went for?
I say, I certainly hope so. And I'm grabbing the bag and hold up and toss over to him what we found.
Yeah, so turns out you were in this ziggurat before, yes? Oh my, look at this magic. Oh my gosh, look at this.
He just seems to cast a spell and it's hovering above his hand as he's looking at it. He looks at you, Jesse, and he says,
I put my hand below, like, just check if this is just like a feint. Wow, that's really hovering.
He
That's
flicks
so
his
cool.
hand and it starts to just hover next to him and he says, I have been there many times.
Turns out you took this where you took this robot body from.
I can assure you it was better off in your possession than his.
I'm not worried about that fact. What I'm really trying to get at is you see this orb, right? You see how it looks? Was there something kind of like this already in there?
Like, I don't know.
'Cause
a
there is
rift
right
to
now.
some kind of
That's where the
horrible
dragon
plane of
Llazenax
existence.
got pulled
Tentacles
in.
coming out, like...
It was not good.
He looks at you like he obviously knows what you're talking about, but before he answers, he looks back at Vinadil and he says, no, he doesn't. He looks at Jeshi in response to your question, and he says, he just kind of nods like, yeah, obviously I know what you're referring to. Let me explain.
Okay.
And he says, before things went all pear-shaped, there were the 8. Each watched over a place of power, and each had a champion. With the 8 no longer here, those places of power are vulnerable to negative influence. That is why the coven was here. He references the tree and looks at you, Kins. He looks back at Vin and he says, and that is why Darkshear, Grimshale, the Tinker, was in the desert. These things, they're not meant to be left unattended.
Wait, is there one? There's one of these here? Were you the champion, or you're the champion?
He looks back at the
Is
giant,
Kins the champion?
the absolutely massive tree, and he says, if you know where to look, deep beneath the roots of the banyan, you will find exactly what you found in the desert. And it is only through sheer luck and the stupidity of evil that them hags did not find it as well.
They were kind of stupid, yeah.
So there's a little glowing orb down there, too? That leads to bad places?
What you saw is known as a void rift. It is essentially a gateway if you know how to manipulate it. It can take you to another place, another plane, a very dangerous place. But it is not us going there that is the problem. It is what is trying to come through from the other side. It is for that reason that we must ensure that these remain closed, and that any who are trying to open them, as I understand, which is what was happening in the desert, that is what needs to be prevented.
Okay, but like hypothetically, if we did want to go through to rescue a certain dragon, is that like a thing that's possible, or is that like a big no-no?
Hypothetically speaking, if one were to travel through to the other side, as Llazenax's son has, from what I gather,
Yeah.
the corruptive influence of what beyond lies is inescapable. Llazenax is far from weak, but I expect that he kind of just trails off.
I'm sorry, you're telling me that we met a super cool ally dragon, super awesome, made some soul steel, lineage of Draxio, all this, and now it's gonna be evil?
I'm not saying it will be evil. The line of Naxio is incredibly strong. If anyone, if anything, could repel the corruption that lies beyond the void, it is a dragon from the line of Naxio.
Yes. Okay, this is what I want to hear.
However, you asked me hypothetically, what lies beyond? It's nothing good. It looks back at Vin at this point, and he flicks his hand, and the orb kind of hovers over, and he says, it was a dwarf who discovered, quite by accident, that it could be harnessed in ways that are not dissimilar from what the Tinker was doing down there in the desert. And it is this very item which can bring your soul back to your body, or if I were to implant this in your chest right now, it would stave off any weakness that the prolonged soul would erode from. I can give this to you right now, and you can stay in that body forever, stave off the madness. Or we can travel back to Stillgate, and I can give you your elvish body back. This is a choice you need to make, but I will uphold my end of the bargain.
Exchange.
Exchange.
That's right. That is how it works. What do you think, Vin? You gonna like ghost
Nice.
robot, ghost drow?
There are pros for both. I
Either
think.
way, you're a ghost.
No, I'm not a ghost.
No,
in
he
any
would
of
No,
the
no.
ways.
ghostify.
Like, I'm-
What? I'm sorry. What makes you a ghost? If I look through this thing, the telescope thing, I will see Vin soul inside of robot. If you pop into this other body, I'll see Vin soul inside of this other meat sack. Boom, ghost.
This elven meat sack.
I mean, then you're a ghost inside a dwarf body.
This
Like-
is what I'm coming to realize. That's why I keep casting
We're
protection
all
from
just
good
in
and
meat
evil.
bodies to you now.
I assume it's only a one-time thing. You can't like put that in me and start staving off the madness now.
You're gonna respec.
While we travel over to the body.
Can we just like teleport? Why didn't you bring the body with you here? Why are
I mean, there are a lot of questions that come in my mind
We
too
have lots
that
of questions.
Well, maybe
require
to be in that
needless
one
travel,
spot.
but that's
I'm
all
trying
right.
to focus
like,
on Vin
I'm
and
I'm
Doe
trying to
right
be
now.
thankful. Like I'm trying to be.
He's-
Yeah,
he says,
thankful.
he says, you could travel here because travel between these places of power is not impossible. We can now travel from here to my laboratory in Stillgate, where I've left your body because the magics that keep Stillgate in stasis are what have preserved your flesh, so that
Is
we
it
may
another-
one day make this decision.
Oh, that's a good point.
Like, is it another place of power?
Here is not
No,
Stillgate.
is Stillgate also or no?
No, but he has the teleportation circle.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
I
was
mean-
able to bring you here because basically
Yeah.
we were able to. Yeah.
No, that's
Got
awesome.
it.
Like, I mean, it might be handy to get a little map of those 8 places if it feels like we're gonna be.
Well, we
You
got to
know
make
what?
sure that they're safe and like
Tell it
not
to us.
getting corrupted by.
Tell it to us
People.
out loud. I don't think we want to walk around with a map with these 8 places.
Okay,
I
each of us
tot-
takes
I-
one place in our
I
brains.
definitely
It's
want to
split
have
up.
a map of the 8 places. I mean, no. So, yeah, I haven't been sleeping for 6 weeks,
Yeah, it's real creepy.
and that's given me a lot of time to think. And minus all of the I mean, to be honest, somewhat helpful. Like we were under sand and underwater, and I don't have to breathe, so there are some benefits
Pros.
that prolong your potential life, but also don't sleep or taste things or drink or smell or
Oh my god, the soup.
Any
Dude,
of the
go into the
things-
dro.
that like
Pop into the dro.
yeah, that make life worth living. Like I don't want to just exist forever. Like I want to reconnect to life. I want to sleep again. Like I want to eat even Jeshi soup. I'll even eat that. And even the
The good
toxic
berries?
that
They're not
Kins tries to
toxic.
feed
They're
to the
nourishing.
whole party. Like I mean,
The mushrooms?
Like,
The trash berries?
yes.
They're nourishing.
No, I
Vegetables.
have been thinking about this a lot. I want to go back in to my body.
Jeshi, as he's saying this, a root from the ground there's like a sprig that has like kind of just started growing up, and it's just sort of like on your leg, and you look down and you recognize it. It's Treel.
Oh my god.
Like crouch.
You swear it's the exact same plant leaf.
But it's just the one.
There's just one. It's like coming up. It's like trying to communicate with you, but
Hey,
you can't
man.
understand it. It's just
Oh, I got you. Yeah. I will lean down and I'll just kind of push together the soil just a little bit.
nice.
Pour some water on it. Good looking out.
So Mortimer kind of acknowledges what you've said, Vin, and he basically says, whenever you guys are ready, I'll transport us to my laboratory. So take
How
your time.
far was
He
it
doesn't-
from
he's not in a
Stillgate
hurry.
to Portsmouth? It's
Yeah,
like a couple
week.
days?
It was-
Oh, it was a week?
It was a week.
It was a week, yeah. A week on foot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So you guys are like a few miles offshore of Portsmouth right now.
Yeah.
So I'll just say, hold on. And then I'll like start walking towards the giant tree. But as I'm walking, like I'm going to be using my druid craft to like, in this like radius of where I'm walking to have any sort of flowers or things kind of like bloom just a little bit. So it looks kind of like this magical trail of like life
Like
that's
in
just...
Moana, like as you're
Yeah.
walking. Things are just growing with every
Yeah.
step. Love it.
And I just want to walk up to the tree and just place a hand on it. Kind of like, hello.
It feels warm to the touch, and you get this overwhelming sense of comfort and just things are good here, and you feel prideful about, you just feel good about it. You just feel, the decisions you've been making are working. This place is healthy. This place is coming back because of what you and your friends have been fighting for.
Okay,
So-
I'll just take a deep breath and turn to Vin and say, I think your robot body, despite being in a robot body, you're still quite wise, Vin. Quite wise. And then I'll just walk back to the group.
Are you jet lagged? I'm kind of feeling like I should sleep under this tree. Like if there's not a rush, maybe like sleep. What if we pop over to Stillgate and 1,000 undead rush us?
Vin can't
I have
sleep,
no
though.
spells.
We've got Mortimer.
Yeah, Vin can enjoy one more night of not needing to sleep, because I'm telling you, in a week, when there's some kind of noise and he can't sleep, he's going to be like, I wish I was a robot. And then I'll make you some nighttime soup, man. It'll work. It's going to be good.
Oh, you should at least eat one more trash berry in your robot form, and then I'll give you one once you come back into your.
You can
you
experiment.
can get the actual flavors when you're not a robot. I promise, it's gonna be great.
He's like, I'm good. Thanks.
Like I think we might have some time to come back to the island, Jesse, and sleep under the tree. Like I'd like to go ahead and do
Yeah.
this if possible.
Okay, fine. Just like I was literally on haste earlier today. I'm feeling tired. Also, I almost got sucked into another dimension. A bunch of ghost spirits talked to me. A fire demon lit on my face. 2 giant robots smashed me. A soul tentacle tried to pull me into the beyond.
Yeah,
Ziggy made fun of me several
I
times.
mean, that's
it
normal.
was a pretty
My
normal
best
day for
friend
you.
got pulled in through a void and got lost without ever giving me a ride.
Best friend.
Yeah, Llazenax, you met him.
Yeah.
We're best friends.
Own him for 5 minutes.
Yeah, but you didn't sense it. There
we're
was a
we're not
kinship.
your best friends by now. After all, we've
No,
been
you're my team.
through? Oh,
But he's my best friend.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm just fine. Let's go.
We'll protect you.
I'll
You're good.
take your consolation best friend prize.
Yeah, you guys are super cool. Did you see that dragon?
Yeah,
Did you hear what Cattell said? Like,
I know.
You do that. You do that.
I
You
try.
want a polar bear.
It's like not. I can fly. I can summon a fire demon elemental, but I can't do both at the same time. Where I'm like, you know.
Think you can turn into a dragon now?
I.
You told me once it was just like after you saw something, you could turn into it.
Yeah, you want me to just transform to anything on command? It takes a little bit more, you know. We have a mission. Then I'm trying to
You'll be the
redirect.
grove
We have a
keeper.
mission at hand. I'm
You'll
pointing
also
at
be
robot.
the champion of the soul steel, so you'll be 2 of the 8, and then
Oh
this is the
gosh.
mission. We'll
No,
make you
because
8 of
then
8.
you're gonna murder Kins, and then what? What's gonna happen after that? Bad idea. Just like it's a bad idea to have the map with all 8. I'm
I'm only gonna murder you if you turn to Znick.
okay.
Okay. I'm a little punch drunk. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Ready to go? Okay. So, Mortimer, you know, he, as you guys say you're ready to go, you notice that he himself walks over to the tree and puts a hand on it and kind of lowers his head and has a few moments of silence and comes back. And he takes out some spell components and looks for kind of an open patch of ground and draws what looks to be a teleportation circle. And starts to cast a spell and asks all of you to stand within the circle, which I'm assuming you all do. And you are magicked away moments later to Mortimer's laboratory in the frozen city of Stillgate. You're immediately met with the change in atmosphere. It's stale, it's dry, it's static. The life that was permeating around and just feeling that sort of warmth and freshness is replaced not with the dry, macabre feeling of the desert, but with this just feeling of just nothing. It's like everything is stopped. There's no wind. There's no sounds of insects. There's no anything. It's incredibly awkward, but also the sensory deprivation is just strange. You look around, and Mortimer walks into the large solarium that, if you recall, was where Vinadil's body was being kept. What's everybody doing?
I hate it here.
I want to look out the window. Is there a window? Where I can see
the solarium, you guys are kind of in the basement.
Oh.
But the solarium opens up like into, there's like a glass roof where you can see out.
Okay, but I can't see people, right?
No, you wouldn't be able to see any people from here.
There were 2 chairs, as I remember. One of them
I'm
holding my
scanning,
body.
Still looking for papers on the tables.
I'm sitting in the other chair.
This is very much like a Dr. Frankenstein's laboratory type of place. There are 2 chairs, one of which lying back diagonally is the still yet preserved corpse of Vinadil, the drow. Then you rush over, probably, and
Calm and steady, walk into the chair.
There doesn't seem to be any decay or damage or anything noticeable. In fact, it's kind of weird. It looks exactly the way you left it, just as all of the people of Stillgate.
Stronger, even.
Strong. There's slightly more muscles and fighter-like posture to the body.
They're gonna D-level.
Yeah.
I want to put Vin's body into like a strange position.
Nah. Like
Just tear his ACL.
Get away.
Larissa just
Torn
starts
ACL.
slapping Vin's face. It's weird, you don't feel it at all. The room is, you look around, it's all hard edges and just shined brass. There's mechanics everywhere. In fact, now that you've been here and there within a relatively short time, there's a lot of similarities between the machinery and the type of things that you saw, the artificer equipment that you saw in the Tinker's workshop to here. The materials seem very similar. A lot of glass, a lot of brass and copper, things of that nature. And the shapes of, particularly Vin, because you were looking at that sort of weird contraption. And you notice that above the bodies, there's something not all dissimilar from that same thing. Though noticeably lacking any, void rifts or black, shadowy death tentacles. On one thick oaken table, there's a bunch of tools and accoutrement, and next to it, in a chair, is the supine form of Vinadil. Your flesh is unaltered by the time away. Stillgate's strange magics weave through everything in this place. Mortimer gestures you, Vin, towards the chair's twin next to it.
I'm ready. I lay down in it.
To my knowledge, this has...
I gotta see this.
To my knowledge, this has never been attempted. I don't say that to alarm you. Only that this would, in some times and places, be considered very forbidden magic. Very forbidden indeed.
Sweet.
I believe...
Gosh.
I believe there is very little danger to you, Vinadil, considering. But everyone else must stand well back.
I mean, Kins is already in a corner just trying to silently, stealthily snoop because she's just a weirdo and wants to, like, see what is snoopable. So she's already far away from them.
Noticing the similarities, I'm going to just ask him, like, how much of this did you learn from studying the Tinker? Or is this knowledge you came by on your own? This room looks very similar.
He says, the techniques for transferring souls, whether it's done out of malicious intent or otherwise, techniques are very similar. That is why this is forbidden magic. There are divine magics to resurrect a soul, bring a body back. But they are, as we've learned, unreliable right now. If you were to do this, this is the way we're going to do it.
Works for me.
Mortimer takes the orb, the core of 13. He lays it gently, almost lovingly, upon the chest of the recumbent and original body of Vinadil. Are you ready? The spell begins slowly, building in volume and tempo as his hands trace intricate symbols in the air between the two Vinadils. Runes flash and burst, echoing loudly in the chamber and sending sparks skittering across the floor. A fine sheen of sweat beads upon his brow, which he furrows in deep concentration. His pale eyes fade to a milky white as Raikkonen thrusts his hands towards the glasswork ceiling. He cries, Artu, Akar Burak, the elvish voice leaking through. He seems with his bare hands to rip a sizzling bolt of purple arcane energy from the sky above. The bolt sears through the chamber, tracing the copper coils faster than the eye can follow before bursting from the nozzle of one of the bronze contraptions that hang above. It fires straight into the orb, which begins to glow, red and hot, the runes on the surface flaring wildly. Vinadil, that tug that you remember from standing in close contact with the soul steel, it's magnified 1,000-fold. And before you can react, you're vaulted out of the construct so quickly that you fear you'll lose consciousness and drift out into the nothingness of the spirit winds. Mortimer turns, quick. With one hand, he reaches out to you. You strain with all your essence. He reaches out to grasp your ghostly fingers. Here, you fool. I need you to make a wisdom saving throw as you reach out and try to grab Mortimer's hands.
Am I within 10 feet?
No.
We all moved out of the way.
This is all Vin.
Oh, go, Finn. You got this. Reach.
I am not great at this. Oh my gosh.
Oh
Okay.
no.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
You got this. We came all this way.
No, I don't got this.
That was not
Oh
a
my
good
gosh.
roll.
Oh
It
no.
wasn't that terrible, but it was.
That's a 5. It's a 5.
Gosh.
It wasn't a 1.
No,
It was
wasn't
not a
1.
1. That's very important.
You reach out to grab his fingers, and his hand passes right through yours, Vin, as you start to feel yourself being pulled back out of the way. You hear Mortimer, and he reaches up, and 2 more lightning bolts, and this flare of light flies out from underneath him, and his hair begins to rise up from the static electricity, and he's sweating profusely, and he plants his feet, and he reaches out, grab them, and he reaches his hand out. One more chance.
Come on,
Don't
Vin.
miss, Vin.
You got this.
I can't take this.
I believe. Oh, God.
Gosh.
Why?
It's an 8.
Better.
I don't think an 8 is good enough. Oh my gosh.
An 8.
Where's our flash of genius? Like.
Oh, yikes. Uh-oh.
Yikes forever.
Thank you, sad word. Oh, no. No.
Some serious music.
This is worse.
I just want to point out, if we would have slept, I would have had some spells involved.
At first, Vin, you reach out, you try to grab him, and your fingers pass right through his hands. He flares up, making a last-ditch effort to reach out as the spirit winds begin to pick up, and your soul begins to be blown away into the ether. He reaches out, and with one final attempt, tries to grab you, and makes contact with your arm. He begins to pull you back. For a brief moment, you see on Mortimer's face that he is struggling. This is taking everything that this man has. He pulls you back with all his strength towards the orb. At first, there's a thick, sludgy resistance to your movement. You strain with all of your essence, and you soon begin to slip towards yourself. It's easier and easier as you close the distance. Then, your spiritual form is sucked within the sphere, and your mind goes black. Mortimer reacts in an instant. He pinwheels his arm, and with the palm of his right hand, he slams the glowing ball deep within the chest of Vinadil's elvish body. And your world explodes with light, Vin. The light fades, the spell is ended, and your eyes open, and you are again Vinadil.
But with like a metal thing in my chest? Am I like Iron Man Vinadil?
You look down.
Like I'm feeling down at my chest.
You look down, and then the center of your chest, you feel a glowing orb. And it's like, you're just like trying to, immediately kind of freaking out a little bit. And it is there. It is just in your skin. It's, your armor has made way for it.
See, Jessie? Not a ghost.
Yeah, no problem, man. I was watching through the telescope, There was a time you were just floating there, couldn't get a hold of you. Definitely weren't close to just floating away forever. Seems fine. Good magic. Perfectly healthy.
I'm gonna walk up to Vin and tap on the chest ball.
As you start to walk up to Vin, a hand comes out, stops you. It's Mortimer. Don't go near him.
Is he okay?
He's okay. But he's not the only thing that came back.
What?
Oh.
I yanked
And that is where we are going to end
Jesse.
season 1 of Bad Plans.
Oh my gosh. Well, at least you got back into the body. I thought that for sure. Bye bye, Vin.
I know. Like after all of this.
The Steel Sands arc has come to completion.
Guys.
Nice.
It's Lideniv. Lideniv has come back.
Oh, good. We all need evil twins. It's fine.
Or as we all know, Vinaldi.
Vinaldi.
Yeah.
I love Vinaldi. I want there to be a character named Vinaldi. We make that an NPC.
The 2 single-digit wisdom saves were brilliant, by the
Oh,
way.
God.
Dude, well, you know,
You've brought
Good
something
job
back
on that.
with you.
I want nothing if not to provide us more content for future arcs. You know, like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, you are the pivot of the
I'm the
story.
content creator.
You are.
Just, you know, I died at the end of the
That's
first
your
one just to
role.
make it interesting.
Uh-huh.
And I could have rolled higher, clearly, but you
Now
know.
you res evil.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Alignment change. Jesse, you can do something about that, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
All right,
Wow.
guys, that was so much fun. Good job.
Awesome.
Thank you guys for watching. If you're in chat right now, we really appreciate it. Couple things we want to talk about. So Evan, who plays Thorcum, is he recently had a baby, so he's gonna be taking some time to, go be a dad, which is hard work. If you're a parent, you know what that's like, having a newborn at home. So he's gonna be bowing out of the game for a little bit. We are also going to be taking a bit of a hiatus from the story, so that myself and Triven we can catch up on some of the writing, kind of prepare for what's coming next, and get ahead a little bit. So they're not going to be regular Wednesday games until November. So for the rest of September and the entire month of October, we're not going to be playing on Wednesdays. We probably will do occasional I don't know. Somebody speak up.
Arctic phone.
Yeah, we'll probably play games.
Unplanned,
still.
but yeah, games.
Yeah, like it might not be every single Wednesday or whatever. We'll find out. But the channel's not going to be totally silent for the whole time. Like we'll definitely be hanging out, playing some stuff, maybe even just have some nights where we just, I don't know, run some...
Recharge.
Yeah, we'll run some arenas, or we'll just hang out and do some stuff. But yeah, we're going to probably month and a half or so to catch up on writing for the next arc. And then we'll start season 2 in and around November at some point. So we'll keep you guys posted. Make sure you're in the Discord if you're not already. What else? What else do we want to say?
I mean, nothing. I think, should we raid?
We should definitely
Yeah,
raid.
we should definitely raid.
It was
Definitely-
a hell of an arc.
Yeah.
Jeez.
My goodness.
Good
But we
rolls.
made it. It was a good arc. We
Well
started with the
Oh my
Vin
gosh.
ghost robot, and now we are in something
was just
new,
about-
something new released.
I was
too.
about to
Main
become
party
not
died.
evil.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
This
I love,
But now you're
I mean-
evil again.
which,
Belrissa. Yay!
I mean, that's the thing. Like, let's not miss the fact that, Belrissa's counterpart comes from the great evil. That we're
Oh, we know.
we're fighting against. Like,
know.
I mean, no, it's cool. We're
We're gonna
now-
You're like, wait, we have
Collide.
a warlock in the party? First time noticing that? I mean, hold on a second here. This is weird.
You guys it's fine.
a good warlock, though.
You guys like what I can do for the
a
party.
caring warlock.
absolutely. We gotta have the warlock on our side to destroy some bros.
Oh my gosh.
Destroyer of bros.
Uh-huh.
All right, let's see
Oh my
here. I found
gosh.
somebody. I don't know who knowing my luck, it's like you're not allowed to chat, and they're gonna
Yeah.
end the second we get there. But we'll see. It's our last raid of season 1.
Caffeinated
Caffeine.
conquests.
Ooh, yeah.
All right.
It looks like they have a VTuber in their game, and
A what?
yeah,
VTuber.
we'll see.
A
Like
beaver.
a virtual
A beaver? That's not what I said.
VTuber.
Jean-Claude Van Beet.
Oh
That's
my
right.
gosh.
Jean-Claude Van Beaver.
Oh man. Hey everybody, if you've been watching the whole time, just want to say really appreciate you. It's been awesome. This has been a lot of fun. Can't wait to keep the story going and see what else happens to Vinadil, which is apparently what our whole story revolves around.
That's it all. Center of the universe there.
So until next time, good luck with your bad plans.